Hi, Dr. Watson here, and in this tutorial video we're going to discuss importing a MIDI file into GarageBand and then working with it with loops. I'm going to go out on the web to grab a MIDI file that I can then drag and drop in the track window here of GarageBand. I'm at a website where the MIDI files are classical or Baroque pieces of music. That's fun to do. Take a classical or Baroque piece of music and then add some pop loops and do a neat fusion project. This MIDI file here is in the key of D major. I want to point that out because that's going to be very, very important for us to remember. So let me go ahead and in some browsers you can click on it or right click on it or control click on it. Save the link as, and we note that it has the extension MIDI that tells us it's a MIDI file. Let's save it on the desktop so it's very, very easy to find. So save, and now it's downloading. And we're going to go out to the desktop and look for that file that was called Musette. There it is on my desktop. And I'm just going to drag and drop it in. Now I'm doing something on purpose that is actually incorrect, at least I believe it's incorrect, and that is I'm leaving the project key of C major. That's the default key for GarageBand projects. I'm leaving it at C major, even though when I was on the website we noted that the MIDI file is actually in a different key, in the key of D major. And that's where the point of working with loops is going to be very important, because GarageBand will match the loop to the key and the tempo of the project. The MIDI file is in the key of D, but I'm dragging it into a C major project. Technically an incorrect thing to do. So when I play the project back, we're going to hear it in the key of D. Right, so it's playing it in the key of D. There's a D. But yet the project is in the key of C. The reason that's important is if I would drag a tonal loop from my loop library, say I wanted to put a bass line to that. If I would drag, let's put a funky bass line. How about this one? Okay, I like that a lot better. Sort of a synth. Now if I drag that into the project, see, I've told GarageBand, hey, the project's in the key of C, but my material is in the key of D. So I'm going to have this disconnect where my bass line doesn't sound like it matches the tonal material. Let me turn down this tonal material a little bit, this musette piece, and you should be able to hear the bass line, but it's not going to fit. Right, because this is playing in the key of C, whereas these are playing in the key of D. I guess another way of saying that is that when you import a MIDI file, that does not match the key of the project. It didn't take our musette in the key of D, did not match C. So one way around that, if it's a small instance, you could open up the edit window and change the key of your loop. I'm going to transpose the key up 2 half steps so it matches the key. When I go from the key of C up to C sharp, then up to D, I'm going up 2 half steps, and now it should match. Right, so that does match. Another way, and I think a more thorough, comprehensive way, and the way I'd like my students to do it, is let's go ahead and start the project, but tell GarageBand that we are in the key of D from the get-go, from the beginning. If we say, hey, we're in the key of D at the very beginning, then when we set up our project and import our MIDI file, the MIDI file will be in the key that the project is in. And when I go ahead and let's find that funky bass line. Right. So when I drag that in, I don't have to open up the edit window and transpose. It's already gonna match. Right. Now one area that doesn't matter is non-tonal things. So for instance, let's go to funk drums and see what we got here. There we go. So if I put these drums in, it doesn't care what key we're in because drums are non-tonal. They would have worked whether it was in the key of C or the key of D. Okay, so the big lesson here is before you import a MIDI file, find out what key your MIDI file is in. And if you can't find out, like in this website, it actually tells us the key. But some websites, they don't. So either check with your instructor or listen to it and match it on a keyboard or a guitar. Somehow find out what key the MIDI file is in. And then before you import that MIDI file, GarageBand, new project. Let's not save this. But in GarageBand, before you import, say, hey, we're in the key of G or we're in the key of D. And then when you drag your MIDI file in, all of your loops will match. And you'll save yourself a lot of headaches with tonal loops that don't match up to your MIDI files.